Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahar Kwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us His word and teach us His word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazak with the GMS Nebraska camp. And in this lesson, what I want to get into is the faithful and spiritual mindset that Abraham had, and how, is supposed to serve as an example for us, because, I'm reading through the book of Genesis with the brothers and this is a story that we're all familiar with when Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac, to fulfill the will of the Lord, to fulfill what the Lord commanded him to do. And like I mentioned, this is a story we're all familiar with, but it is something that is, it's supposed to, stories like this are supposed to fuel us. They're supposed to as the scriptures say, let's give Romans chapter 15, verse 4, where it says, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning," which means that we're supposed to look at these different examples of faith in the scriptures, look at these different examples of the Lord trying men, and they passed the test, them keeping a spiritual mind, them fulfilling the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And we're supposed to learn from those things and emulate those actions, those mindsets in our walk. And it says that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. Because what we have to keep in mind is that we're about to go through very hard times ourselves. We're about to go through times of uncertainty. We're about to be tested with very difficult things, the same way that Abraham was, the same way that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was, Daniel. We're about to go through times where we feel like, we're about to lose. But we have to keep the faith. We have to strive for the truth unto death. And these different things that we read about are supposed to give us hope. But to stay on the point and on the topic, the faithful and spiritual mind that Abraham had, we look at what Abraham was willing to do to show his trust and his faith that he had in the Most High Yahweh. What did Yahweh tell him to do? He told him to sacrifice his son of the promise. Now I was going to say his only son, but he had, Ishmael as well, but there was a significance in Abraham getting ready to sacrifice Isaac. That significance being that, Isaac was the son of the promise. Isaac was Abraham's heir. Ishmael was sent away at this time. So Isaac may as well have been his only son. This is the same son that the Most High said that all these promises were going to flow through, that the Most High was going to deal with. But Abraham took those words to heart. Abraham believed in the words that the Most High said because he had faith in the will of the Most High. So when we read about Abraham's mindset and what he was about, how he was willing to sacrifice his son, we have to go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 17, which says, "By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son." Now, let's keep this in mind. It's already a great deal of faith to be told to, sacrifice your son, put your son to death, and be willing to go through with it. That's already, a very faithful thing to do, to show your allegiance to the Most High Yahweh. But what we're about to read is going to even more show Abraham's allegiance to the Most High Yahweh. And let's read it. It says, "Of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called, accounting that the Most High was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure." So the mindset that Abraham had was that he was so faithful to the will of the Most High Yahweh and to the promises that the Most High made with him, that he was in the mindset that when he sacrificed Isaac, the Lord was going to resurrect him. The Lord was going to raise him up from the dead, because the way that he was thinking is that, the Lord has to fulfill his promise he made to me. The Lord has to follow through with what he told me he was going to do. He said that, all the promises he gave me, the inheritance of the land, his seed multiplying, that had to still happen. So Abraham was in the mindset that, okay, the Lord is telling me to sacrifice my son. Well, there's no way he's just gonna, let Isaac just die. He's asking me to do this to show my faith true, and then he's gonna raise him up. That's how faithful Abraham was. That's how spiritual of a mind Abraham was thinking in, that no matter what, even in the face of something that seemed crazy, the Lord was still going to follow through with what he said he was going to do. And that's the type of mindset that we have to have. It's these type of things that are going to be required of us. This type of mindset that's going to be required of us in the times to come. Because we think of what's a major prophecy we're coming into? The MOTB. And us are the hopeful elect. We say right now that we're not going to get the MOTB, but right now things are easy. Right now we're in high time of prophecy, but things aren't really hitting us as hard as they will in the near future. In the near future, we're going to be facing times where unless you have the MOTB, then you can't just go to the store and get something to eat. You can't just take care of yourself and your family and your wife and your kids the way that you want to. You can't just, live as comfortably as you're able to right now. You're going to be hungry. But it's going to take a spiritual mind. It's going to take a faithful mind to believe in the different scriptures that we read about, the things that the Lord has promised us, that even when it seems like we lost, like there's no way that we can survive the situation we're in, the Lord is still going to hold fast on his word that he said to us that his servant shall eat, that he's going to make way for us, that we're going to be protected. And it's not going to be obvious. It's not going to be, because we can know these things in the moment, but it's different when you're actually in the fight. It's like training for a fight. When you're training for a fight and you're envisioning the different things that you might go through in the ring, you're doing the different drills, you can perform at a certain level. But once you actually have to not practice those things, but you have to execute those things in real time, it's different. And that's how it's going to be for us in the time of the end. That's how it's going to be for us in these different, hard prophecies that's really going to be affecting us and striking us to our core. We're going to have to execute these different mindsets and things that we read about. And it's going to be hard in those times. But let's read Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, where it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." That's why it's going to be so hard to have faith, because we're in these fleshly bodies. We're in these carnal bodies where we deal with the sensual things. We deal with the things of the flesh. We deal with our five senses, the things that make sense to our, earthly minds. But faith allows us to think spiritually. Faith allows us to see things that we can't see. Faith allows us to have hope in things that seem impossible in our earthly minds. But faith is a power that the Lord has blessed us with, because faith allows us to believe in something that is bigger than what we can fathom. When we go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, it says, "But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is." And if we believe that the Most High is, if we believe in his name, he is, he exists, he to be, then we have to believe that the Most High is able to do whatever. The Most High is in everything, and the Most High can accomplish whatever he wants to. And the Most High, by whatever means necessary, is going to, follow through with what he said he will do. That's what that means when it says, "For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is." Not only that he exists, but that he is all powerful and can get us out of any situation that we're in. It says, "And that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him." And if we are following through with our side of the promise, if we are, keeping Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's will, doing what we're supposed to be doing, then we have to trust that the Lord is going to do the same for us. Now, I want to grab a precept. Slack, I gotta look it up real fast. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20, which says, "Now unto him that is able to do exceedingly," now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. This scripture is saying that things that we can't even fathom, things that we can't even wrap our head around, the Most High is able to do. He's able to surpass anything that we think he can do. And we have to remember that in the times where, like I mentioned before, it seems like we lost. It seemed like there's no hope. We got to remember that the Lord turned back the hands of time. He kept the sun in the sky longer than it's normally supposed to be there. It takes a spiritual mind to understand, to wrap your head around something like that. Because we just see 24 hours in a day. But it takes a spiritual mind to be in the mindset that, as the scriptures say, the Lord is speeding up the times. The Lord does things like that. It takes a spiritual mind to, to think back on when the Lord split the sea for the nation of Israel to escape out of Pharaoh's hand. That he can do things, that he's going to do things like that and even greater in these times. So we got to constantly keep a faithful and spiritual mind, especially in times of trouble. Because that's when it's most necessary to keep that mindset. Like I mentioned, it's easy to keep that mindset right now. We're reading about the scriptures. The Lord answers our prayers in smaller aspects, right now. But when it comes to a time where we're in imminent danger, when it seems like there's no way to get out of a situation, that's when it's going to be the hardest to keep faith, but it's going to be most necessary to keep faith. And let's get Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8, which says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And this is even more just showing the power of the Most High Yahweh, that he is able to do whatever he wants to. He is able to get us out of whatever situation by whatever means necessary, higher than what we think is possible. We've never seen a person be raised from the dead, yet Abraham believed that, the Lord said that he was going to deal with Isaac, that everything that he promised me was going to be passed down to Isaac. So if I put him to death, he got to raise him from the dead. That's the only way he's going to follow through on his word. The example I used earlier, we believe that the Lord said he's going to allow his servants to eat, and we're in the middle of the wilderness, and it seems like there's no food around. We didn't search high and low and we can't find nothing. We got to believe the Lord going to have to spawn some food from somewhere. The Lord is going to have some situation, befall me that food comes about, because he said his servants is going to eat. And that's the type of mindset we have to have. Now, we don't want to have an arrogant mindset, or a mindset that we can be operating in however we want, and then just have faith that the Lord going to take care of us, and he is. No, the Lord is going to take care of his servants, and his servants are those who are doing his will. His servants are those who are sacrificing their lives for his sake, who are doing the things, following his commandments. That's the only way that, he will hold true on his word. But if we are holding true on his word, if we are doing the things that he has commanded us to do, and on Yahweh Ba'ashim Habashai's side, he's going to be on our side, and we can have that confident mindset. That way is not arrogance, it's confidence in what he has said. And that word confidence means with faith. That's a faithful mindset to have, that there's no way the Lord ain't going to follow through on what he said. That's the same mindset that Abraham had. When we read all through Hebrews chapter 11, when we see the different acts that our forefathers did, that was a confident mind that they had, a faithful mind. So let's get Psalm chapter 37 verse 5. I believe this will be the last precept I grab, which says, "Commit thy way unto the Lord Yahweh, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass." He shall bring what to pass? His word, his promises. But it says that we have to do what for him to bring these things to pass? We have to commit our way unto him, which means that we have to walk the way that he told us to walk. We have to transform our ways to please Yahweh Ba'ashim Habashai, to do his will. Let's get Proverbs 3 and 5, which says, "Trust in the Lord Yahweh with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." And when it says in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths, that doesn't mean just think about him in everything you do. That means to think about him and walk in his way, and he shall direct thy paths. To acknowledge to acknowledge somebody in something is that, you know, let's give an example. If you go out to get some food and you acknowledge the people back at the house that you have to feed, you're going to get food that you know that they would eat. That doesn't mean that you're in the supermarket and you think about the people at your house and you just get whatever you want to eat anyway. No, you acknowledge them, and so you move in a certain way that, you know, that shows that you had them in mind. That's what we have to do. We have to move in a certain way that shows that we have the Most High, but that shows that we have Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai in mind. And if we do that, if we, you know, walk in all holy conversation and godliness, you know, and put forth the fruits of the Spirit and walk in righteousness, then the Lord is going to fulfill his promises. The Lord is going to do everything that he said he was going to do for us. You know, so just wanted to put that out there, you know, as a faith booster, as a reminder of, you know, the mindset that we have to keep in the times that we're coming into. Again, it's going to be hard. You know, it's not going to be as easy to have, because we struggle with having faith right now. We struggle with different things right now when the Lord puts us in different precarious situations. Like I made a lesson recently, a couple weeks ago. You know, I talked about how, you know, I was let go from the job I was at. I got fired. And initially I'm like, man, like I don't know how, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know, but it's different things like that where the Lord will prove our faith now. And we may struggle at times, and we may, not deal 100% with these smaller things we go through. So how much more when it's a life or death situation? That should show us that it's not going to be as easy as we think. It's not going to be as easy as we say, you know, in how we profess at times. So it's all a mindset thing. Slack it, because, you know, a couple more things came to mind just as I ended the video. So I just want to add this in post-production. You know, we have to remember that Esau is going to be, you know, after us. There's going to be a great power, you know, against us in an earthly sense, in a carnal sense, with, you know, Esau and his technology. You know, Esau got, you know, robots. He gonna have martial law on the streets. Esau has all ways to track and surveil us, and there's gonna be a great insurrection against those who fear the Lord. So we're gonna have to keep the faith and remember that the Lord is greater than everything that Esau has to offer. But the thing is, like we mentioned, we're in these carnal bodies. So a lot of the time we just deal with what we see. We deal with what we're experiencing firsthand. And when we see this great, you know, the great flood that Esau is going to come with, you know, it may come a point where it's going to be hard to remember that the Lord is going to lift up a standard when the enemy come in like a flood, you know. But at the end of the day, the Lord will do that. We've never seen spiritual power firsthand. We never seen, you know, a brother take flight, a brother blast away enemies. But that's different things that the Lord is going to allow us to do, and allow us allow the fellow believers who are in this faith to do in the times that we're coming into. And even though we haven't seen it, what do the scriptures say in 2 Corinthians 5:7? For we walk by faith, not by sight. You know, and if that's the case, then what are we going to walk by? What's the faith that we're going to walk by? Everything that we read in these scriptures, all the examples that we've been given, all, you know, everything that we pray for, you know, that's what we have to walk by. Not what we're just experiencing in these bodies, because there's more than just what we're experiencing in this flesh. There's a whole spiritual realm. There's angels encamped around those who fear the Lord all the time. We have to have faith that those angels are going to show themselves, that you know, the different works of protection and things that they're going to do is going to be, you know, even more apparent and obvious in that time. You know, so you know, just want to, you know, add that in post-production. You know, again, you know, hopefully this lesson was edifying. Shalom. You know, so, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahar Chakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and the salutation unto the elect. Shalom.